I don't want to be anything other than what I've been trying to be lately. All I have to do is take of me and my peace of mind. Yes, we are back. Fightful Overbooked fans of non-wrestling content on this wrestling channel. We are here for a sequel to our first One Tree Hill character tier list. It is me, your True Hill Phenom, SP3. But today I am Jerome YouTube, and I am joined by Cher Delaware as we have a tier list of One Tree Hill seasons. How you doing, Cher?
I'm doing great. This year is actually the 20-year anniversary for One Tree Hill. So I'm feeling a little elderly right now as we do this. But right before we went on air, we were talking about how we want to go to one of the One Tree Hill events sometime. Well, the 20th one, I wish we would have known further in advance because it's like huge. They're having basically everybody there, and they're having a basketball game and everything. Like, I know we should have planned better.
We gotta plan better. And this is crazy because I just found out recently it's the 20-year anniversary of the OC, and me and Maggie are gonna do a sequel of our tier list. But all the teen dramas that I grew up on, it's 20-year anniversary, so I'm an old man, very old this year.
Yes.
But let's talk about One Tree Hill season tier list. If you didn't see our One Tree Hill character tier list, you can check it out. It'll be one of the boxes when the video ends, or maybe Joel, if he watched the beginning of this, he could put an iCard. You could check it out. We talked about our fandom of One Tree Hill there, but now we are going to break down the seasons. 9 seasons we're going to go through. So it is time to put on my Jerome YouTube hat. Are you ready, Kate? Or excuse me, I called you Kate. Excuse me. See, I'm botching already. I told her before we started recording that I'm gonna mess up a little bit. I'm on baby brain. I've been up since 4 a.m. But
it's an honor.
Cher.
It's an honor to be called Kate.
I was just hanging out with Kate. That's what.
It's an honor. When I was still a blonde, we always said that we were like the same person, but then I dyed my hair. My hair's naturally even darker than this. So, but no, yeah, I'm so excited. I'm ready to get going.
Let's do it. Let's put up our tier list here. And voila, there it is. So we got to go through the tiers and let the people know how we're going to rank these. So the top tier, we have Ravens Hall of Fame. So the best seasons, basically. We did this with the character tier list, so we had to bring it back. Ravens Hall of Fame is the top seasons, the best seasons of One Tree Hill. We have COB Top Seller, which is Clothes Over Bros top seller. So it's a great season, not the top of the top, but still a lot of quality, a lot of memorable moments. Then we just have a good season. So it was good, not great, not Ravens Hall of Fame, but somewhere in the middle. Because when we go down to these lower tiers, this is where it's not as good. We have not bad, but not good. So it's a very flawed season is the best way I can describe that tier. And then we have the bottom of the bottom of the bottom of the barrel, the trash, aka Lucas Scott.
Yeah.
How you liking those tiers there, Cher?
I agree 100%. Like, I'm glad that we have a specific Lucas Scott trash. So I'm ready to go with it.
So we're gonna start, of course, with season 1, and I even have the overlays here so people can see them.
Oh,
see, I was prepared this time.
I want them to remake this picture.
They should as their older self.
And I love that Lucas is just in the middle of all of the women.
Yes. He's best friends with Haley. He's got a crush on Peyton. He dated Brooke first. So he's connected to every. He's the connecting thread right in the middle of
Truly.
And of course, Peyton separates him and Nathan in the first season. So The first season, of course, was our introduction to One Tree Hill and a lot of these characters. Of course, we were instantly introduced to the dynamic of the half brothers, Lucas and Nathan Scott, who go to the same school. They are very distant half brothers because their father, Dan Scott, basically pregnated his high school sweetheart, Karen Roll, to give birth to Lucas and then left her behind to go play college basketball and met Dev, impregnated her and had Nathan. Then he gets injured and then he comes back home to One Tree Hill and becomes a car dealership salesman because of help from Deb's family who paid for it. We learned all of that in season 1.
Yes.
We also met Dan's dad, Dan and Keith's dad. We meet Keith Scott, who is the uncle of Lucas and Nathan, a lot closer to Lucas because he's been like the kind of the substitute father. He has a crush on Karen, but he's also best friends with her. We're introduced to Whitey, who's the basketball coach, and on the first episode, Keith shows Whitey Lucas and suggests him for the basketball team after Nathan and the basketball team. A lot of them get suspended when Nathan steals the school bus and goes joyriding while drinking, and everybody gets suspended except for Nathan because Dan is good at talking apparently. So they need replacements for the basketball team. We get Lucas in there. Lucas and Nathan have their famous one-on-one at the River Court with Lucas winning, so he's allowed on the basketball team. And then the first couple of episodes about that, Nathan wants to get under Lucas' skin, so he gets tutored by Haley. It starts off as a ploy to get under Lucas' skin, but he eventually falls for Haley. Haley falls for him. That's a whole big arc of the whole first season. The latter half comes of the triangle between Peyton, Lucas, and Brooke, because Brooke gets with Lucas first, but then Peyton, after she eventually breaks up with Nathan, she develops feelings for Lucas because he's always there for her. He gets her drawings in a magazine and all this other stuff, fixes her car. He's basically a simp for Peyton in the first season.
Yes. The OG simp.
Stalker too. Yeah, I think he stalks her too because he stalks her webcam. Yep, he is a stalker. He's a stalker. A little bit of stalker. Yeah. But yes, we meet them. We also meet Skills, who's best friends with Lucas. We meet Tim, who's best friends with Nathan. We meet Mouth, who becomes the commentator for the Ravens basketball, but really he's just commentating for the River Court at this time. And Jimmy, we get him in the first couple of episodes. They want to be a commentating team for Ravens basketball and start a blog on it and stuff. The Ravens lose their first season because Whitey's out and Dan coaches, and Dan's an awful coach because he's an awful father.
And an awful human.
And an awful human being, but we love him for it.
Not yet, though. We don't love him for it yet.
So, like I said, Peyton develops feelings for Lucas, and her father is basically at sea, and she's told that he dies or something like that, or he's injured or something. So they go on a road trip, and on that road trip, Lucas cheats on Brooke with her best friend Peyton. Eventually, Brooke finds out, causes the whole love triangle. Then Lucas makes it worse because he gets in a car accident that Dan saves him in because Keith was drinking and driving.
There are so many car accidents on this show.
There's so many car accidents. Like this is the first big one. Where Keith is driving, but he's drinking and driving. Lucas gets hurt. Dan makes the save. He brings Lucas to the hospital. They were driving to the airport to pick up Karen, who was away in like Italy or something like that, because she always goes on trips and goes away for a long time. I don't know. It must have worked out with her contract. She was like on a per episode thing. I don't know. It was weird. But you had all that, and Lucas gets hurt. They find out about the whole love triangle at that point. So he's out of the falling out with Brooke and Peyton. Then he runs off when he's hurt and he hooks up with some girl at a bar. And that girl just happens to be his friend and a fellow player on the basketball team, Jake, his baby mama, because Jake has a daughter. And Jake and Peyton start a friendship that develops into a relationship. And we're left in season 1 with Keith takes a job out of town. So Lucas, because he feels like he's changed so much, he feels like he doesn't know who he is anymore. He wants to leave town, leave One Tree Hill, even though his friendship, he's developed a friendship with Nathan. They've been with each other and bonded over the fact that they both hate Dan. Dan has walked in on Keith sleeping with Deb.
Was that the first season?
That's the first. This is how the first season ends. This is me remembering off the top of the dome. I have nothing I'm reading off of.
I thought it ended with the wreck. I did not know that was the first season.
No, that was like a mid-season finale. Was the wreck?
Oh
like you
God.
still had like at least like I think like 7 or 8 episodes left. 7 or 8 episodes left before you even get into all of this. So yeah, you get all that, and then yeah, Lucas and Keith leave. Brooke has been like hating on Peyton this whole time, but they kind of seem like they're gonna get back on the same page by the end of the season. And the big surprise of the end of season 1, Nathan and Haley are married, all in one season of One Tree Hill.
And it was like the seasons are what, like 22, 24 episodes long. Like so much shit.
A lot of episodes. Like they have full-on arcs of these teen dramas. Because I remember with OC, when I looked up OC, I think their first season's like 27 episodes. It's like ridiculous amounts of content that they go through on these teen dramas. But let me look up One Tree Hill season 1 to confirm how many episodes that we had in season 1. Oh my God, list of episodes is 187 episodes. That's ridiculous. I would never do a tier list of the episodes of One Tree Hill because I'd be here for days. So One Tree Hill season 1, 22 episodes. Yeah, you're right. So where does it rank? What do you think, Cher?
So whenever I rewatch it, I always skip like the first 2 episodes of One Tree Hill because that's like introducing the people and everything, and I already know them. And I get very angry at Nathan because of how much of an asshole he is. And I love Nathan too much to be angry at him. And I don't want to be sympathetic towards Lucas. So I'm like, I'll just skip these. But, I mean, really, it's so much happens. I feel like it's got to be in one of the top ones.
Yeah, I think it's Ravens Hall of Fame. I think
I would say so.
Like you had so much character growth. Like you have a whole redemption arc for Nathan in season 1.
Truly.
Like they introduce him as this like jerk, and that is just very kind of possessive over the basketball team. He's being mean to his own brother. He's using Haley. He used Peyton to the point that Peyton broke up with him. Apparently, he slept with Brooke even before that. Like it's just like. They set him up as such a bad person, and then you see over time, like the little moments where he shows who he really is. Like,
Haley really.
His father is kind of like verbally abusive to him, doesn't know how to treat him, and that is why he acts a certain way.
Yeah, I mean, Haley was really like the catalyst into him changing who he was. He had a terrible dad. He has an alcoholic mother. Like, he just really didn't have a chance before he met Haley. Yeah. And she was it for him. And to see that change in that first season, I would agree. And, well, I mean, like I said, the first 2 episodes, you're really just meeting everybody. But then you've got the whole basketball thing going on, and then you see the Karen stuff. And, yeah, Karen, for some broke woman who owns a cafe, she's always fucking going on vacation. Like, watch your damn kid.
Please watch your kid. Like, what is going on here?
Yes, like,
why are we doing this?
I mean, at that point, him and Peyton should have just freaking lived together because neither of their parents are ever there. Like, yeah, I don't. Dan is so unlikable in the first season. Like, he's so unlikable. And the thing that always bothered me about the first season is, like, why does Nathan hate Lucas so much? Like, Lucas
they
did
never
not
really
do anything to you. Well, and you've gone to school together this long. They're supposed to be like sophomores or juniors in high school, and you've just not ever interacted prior to this. Like,
yeah, like, because they talk about it, how they've always gone to school together, and it's just like, what?
And, like, this is not a big town. It's not a big school. Like, I'm a little concerned right now, but I mean, honestly, if I was Karen, I probably would have just moved out of that fucking town. But that's just me, you know? Do whatever, you know, she's got to have somebody to watch him while she goes on vacation every 12 minutes. So,
You know, she needs somebody around, so she's thankful she has Keith. But definitely season one. I forgot the other part is that it ends with after Dan catches Deb with Keith, he eventually has a heart attack, and Deb is the
yes.
one that finds him.
And she's trying to decide if she's going to call the
Yes, that's how we start off
ambulance.
season 2. I just read
Yes.
that on season 2 because season 2 is like one of the rare seasons I'm a little bit more blurry on. So we got season 1 in the top, Ravens Hall of Fame. Let's move on to season 2 here. Season 2, we start off with
Lucas and that bald head.
oh man, the Lucas bald head season.
Look at the length of those skirts.
Oh my
Not
god,
an ass cheek was covered with those skirts. Like, this is the most early 2000s fashion ever.
really
And that
is.
belt, God.
So yeah, we start off season 2 with Dan. He's had a heart attack. Deb's debating if she wants to call the hospital. Eventually, she does. We have the fallout of Haley and Nathan getting married. I forgot in the first season, the big kind of moment where Haley and Nathan really kind of form their bond is when Nathan does speed for basketball because of the pressure from his dad, and then he goes to Haley's house. So that was like a good moment. And the rain kiss becomes a moment that they keep bringing up throughout like the latter seasons a lot. But yeah, Lucas and Keith are debating whether they should go home or not after hearing about Dan's heart attack. They basically spend the whole episode kind of debating and weighing the pros and the cons. You know, Dan had a heart attack, they should be back there. But Keith's like, well, I just slept with Dan's wife, so I don't know about that.
Maybe not be a good idea.
Maybe not be a good idea. The Lucas is like, well, he left a lot of things unsaid and undid with Brooke and Peyton, but he also completely screwed that up as well. So he's like, there's pros and cons to everything. But they eventually agree to go back home. Meanwhile, you got basically Dan in the hospital, various people coming to see him. Whitey is told that he has a tumor behind his eye and has to have surgery, which is risky. Haley moves in with Nathan and is terrified they may have made a mistake because people are like giving them all the doubts, whether it's Deb, whether it's Karen. And then that's what basically the first episode is all about. And then we get introduced to some new characters. So Brooke's got a new neighbor named Felix, who's basically a playboy. He's basically season 1, episodes 1 through 4 Nathan, basically. Yeah. But he has no depth, has no growth, and he's actually a horrible person. He's actually a very horrible person who has a sister. I forget her name. Damn it. I always forget these people's name. But yeah, he has a Anna.
Yeah,
Yes,
Anna. Okay.
Anna.
Whatever.
Anna.
One of them.
Well, we're introduced to her through Lucas. Lucas meets her. We eventually find out that they're siblings. But Felix's whole arc is about Brooke and him trying to get with Brooke because she's the most popular girl and he has the reputation of sleeping around, and she's not looking for anything serious coming out of the Lucas relationship. So she eventually agrees to be friends with benefits. But of course, friends with benefits, they have feelings for each other. Felix grows to really like Brooke. He uses Mouth to do this. Mouth, who develops a crush on Brooke in this season, that becomes more prevalent, and we see a lot of interactions between them. And Brooke feels like he's like a little brother to her, which breaks his heart. Then Felix eventually he screws it up. Eventually, she finds out that Felix is spread a rumor about Peyton because Anna develops feelings for Peyton and they kiss. But Peyton doesn't swing that way, unfortunately, for Anna. But to make the whole thing go away, because he's the brother and he's got to protect his sister, he spreads a rumor that Peyton kissed Anna and Peyton's a lesbian, and Peyton gets harassed and bullied because of that. So yeah, he's a jerk. He's horrible. eventually Brooke realizes this that was like kind of like the main triangle of the season. Well, that and another one we'll get to was Felix, Lucas, and Brooke, because Lucas realized that he screwed up with Brooke and he develops feelings for her again and he wants to get back with her again. So even though he's in a relationship with Anna, he eventually dumps her to get back with Brooke, but Brooke's in a relationship with Felix, but eventually she breaks up with Felix, but eventually she doesn't want to get into anything with Lucas. It's a whole mess, that whole thing. But what's even a bigger mess is the whole Haley and Nathan thing, because they can't be happy after being a married couple. They have the marrying woes of living on their own, and Nathan has to get a job.
They're like 12.
This is true. They are like
Nathan's
12.
never had to pay for anything in his life, and now he has to get a job. Haley works at a cafe for $4 an hour. Like, that was my thing with it. Haley's parents being like, yes, we will sign for you to get married. Okay. Maybe help her come up with a plan.
That might have been nice.
Or be like, you guys can move in here until, like, what did you expect? I mean, you're very lucky that they didn't starve to death.
Like, you know, I'm just saying, like, a lot of these parents are negligent in this whole situation. Truly. With that whole thing.
But, I mean, okay, I'm looking here. Brooke's parents, terrible. We never even saw her dad until, like, after she had kids.
Lucas got a good mom. That's it.
Lucas got a good mom, but she's going on vacation every 12 and a half minutes.
She's a good but neglecting mom.
Yes. And then, like,
Haley's parents are too carefree.
They're too carefree, and they've got 75 children. So, like, they don't even.
But we only saw 3 of them.
Yes.
Even when when their mother's on their deathbed.
That was always so funny to me. Like, she's got all these siblings, but then, like, the rest of them are like, we're out. See ya. Good luck.
Into thin air.
Nathan's got a freaking murderer dad and alcoholic mother. And Peyton's got 75 parents because she was adopted, and still none of them are around. Like, how does this happen? I don't understand. It's such a mess. Such a freaking mess.
So yeah, that's the whole messy situation going on. So yeah, Haley and Nathan, eventually it becomes even more messier because Haley's sister shows up, Taylor, and we find out that Nathan lost his virginity to Taylor.
Nathan slept with every woman on this show,
which is Haley's older sister. So congratulations for that. Meanwhile, Haley is trying to pursue her singing career due to the motivation and kind of encouragement of Nathan. And she discovers this other singer when her and Peyton decide to open a club with the help of Karen called Trick. And the singer's name is Chris, damn it, I always forget the last name when I'm here.
Because he always talks in third person.
Chris Keller. Chris Keller. Yes. I was like, how can I forget that? Because he always mentions his name in the third person.
The first time when I watched the show, like when it was on TV, could not stand Chris Keller as a teenager.
This season, I can't stand Chris Keller, but the more he showed up, the more I liked him.
That season, he's very irritating. But like, as a teenager, I'm like, the whole time, oh my God, there's Chris Keller again. The freaking very 2000s porcupine hair. Like, couldn't stand him to the point that it made me not be able to stand the actor who played him. Could not stand this man. As an adult, I'm like, Chris Keller is hilarious. Like,
he's great.
He was great. So funny. Like,
I love it.
Whenever he's like, well, Chris Keller thinks, like, stop talking in third person.
Go back to our character tier list. We ranked Chris Keller very kindly because Chris Keller, especially the latter seasons, he just becomes he's fully become a baby face now. He's no longer the heel, but he's still, it's kind of like the MJF character of current AEW, where he's still him, but now we like him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, you have that causes a whole love triangle, especially when Haley eventually goes on tour with Chris and leaves Nathan behind. Nathan has a whole breakdown. He has a car accident. Because you always have a car accident on a season of One Tree Hill because
Always.
his uncle Cooper is a race car driver and lets him ride in a car even in his fragile mental state. I don't know if that was a wise decision.
Uncle Coop was very dumb.
Yeah, a lot of bad decisions by Uncle Coop. Meanwhile, Lucas is on a mission. He's on a mission to what he says, get to know Dan. But we soon discover he's trying to take Dan down from the inside. So he moves in with Dan, especially when they find out that they have the same heart condition, what caused Dan's heart attack. And Lucas needs special medication. So he and they still play basketball, and he doesn't want his mom to find out about that. So he decides to move in with Dan. But at the same time, he's trying to take down Dan. They do a whole what is it, a capsule thing, a documentary thing, where they put their thoughts about being a teen now to open up in like 25 years, and that's where we find out of Lucas' plot to take down Dan. He's gonna take him down, y'all. He's gonna take him down. But yeah, got all that drama. Then you got Peyton over here who's discovering she's adopted. I think she discovers she has the mom in this season. I don't know if she meets the mom because she's still dealing with her whole feelings with Jake as they heat up. They go on a first date. They are so they have their whole relationship which develops, which of course the baby mama comes in and causes more drama. We get that cool party scene where they get into a whole fight, Peyton and the baby mama. That was a lot of fun. Enjoyed that. That was fun. Good stuff. She has their whole thing with Anna because she kisses her. Meanwhile, the adults of the world, you have Keith, who's working at Dan's dealership with Dan having the heart attack, where he meets Jules one day. Jules is this beautiful woman. He falls in love with her. They have this slow burn, but they fall in love fast, and he gets engaged to her. And then we eventually learn that Jules has been hired by Dan because Dan is trying to take down his brother. For sleeping with his wife.
Such a wild story. Like, you could have done so many things, and you hire this woman, and like, what's wrong with her? Like, you hire this woman to do this for what? Like, what? You didn't even like Deb. Like, you didn't even like her.
I forgot, after the Nathan car accident, because he's in a coma, he has that cool episode where they show what would have happened if Dan stayed with Karen and Lucas was Nathan and Nathan was Lucas.
Yes.
One of my I think this season is more redeemable in hindsight because of that episode and the I Will Dare episode. Those are two of my favorites in One Tree Hill.
Well, and like, as Keith is like with Jules, like, we see Dan getting close with Karen, and I'm like, why, my dude? Like, you could have just not done that part. Like,
skip that part. Skip that part.
Dumb.
Not do that. How about that?
Yeah.
But yeah, there you go. So as we end season 2, Brooke is getting ready to leave for her parents in California, but hopes to return in the fall. Lucas finally tells her the truth about his feelings, but she contemplates how hard their breakup was, so she holds off with that. A woman from alternative press named Ellie wants to interview Peyton, but she is getting out of the music business after running Trick and starting a music company, I believe, that with Chris Keller as her main artist. After when he eventually gets signed, that creates buzz for her. But it's really Ellie is her baby mom. Her mom, excuse me. See, I'm saying baby mom too much. Her mom, we eventually find out. Meanwhile, Nathan is still going through it. Deb gets out of rehab, but she disappears. She she gets out of rehab, and Whitey tells her that Nathan is going to High Flyers because he's eventually reunited with Dan, and Dan's got him going to a basketball camp to get better at basketball. Meanwhile, Haley comes back into town at the same time, so that's the whole thing right there. Dan, we eventually we have the wedding episode. I forgot that too. Keith got left at the wedding because Jules got guilty because she was working with Dan. Dan paid her off and all that stuff. Lucas finds out the truth a long time ago, but keeps it a secret because he doesn't want to break Keith's heart. But eventually Karen finds out and goes to Jules and tells her, I'm gonna tell if you don't tell. And that's why Jules leaves. So Karen is the one that tells Keith. So Keith's pissed off at Karen. He's pissed off at Lucas. He's pissed off at Dan, punches Dan in the mouth, and then he leaves town. You don't see him. So he's gone. But yeah, I forget how we end season 2. It's so confusing. The season 2 ends with Dan's dealership burning, and Dan, he's basically been horrible to Lucas all his life. He's been horrible to Nathan. He's been horrible to Haley. He tried to pay Haley to stay away from Nathan when she was on tour and she was thinking about coming back. He's been horrible to Deb. He's been abusing her, making her life a living hell ever since she slept with Keith. He's been horrible to Keith, his own brother. He's been horrible to Karen. So we burned down the dealership. We don't know who did this to Dan, but we do know that someone with a black hoodie comes in at the end of the season. So where does season 2 rank for you, Cher? That was a lot.
It was a lot.
23 episodes on that one.
I would say season 2 had good things, but then it had things that like dragged on too long.
Yeah.
That felt unnecessary. So for me, it was more like a good season. It was like they were trying to get the magic that they had in the first season. So they were throwing a bunch of shit at the wall in the second season, and it just wasn't working as well as it did in the first one.
Yeah, and a lot of the new characters they introduced just didn't stick.
No.
So that also made this a chore getting through, and plus it had one more episode than season 1. So, but it was still good. I agree with you. But what was better? Season 3. When I think of One Tree Hill, I think of season 1, season 3, season 4. Those are the seasons that I remember the most. Season 3 will always be remembered for the school shooting. I'm not even gonna start at the beginning. I'm gonna start at that because that's the main thing, because that literally has fallout for the rest of the show. For the rest of the next 6 seasons is the school shooting. It's Jimmy, their former friend that I said at the beginning was the commentary partner of Mouth throughout from the beginning of season 1 through season 2 to beginning of season 3. We don't see Jimmy all that often, but eventually he comes up when the time capsule that they put all their thoughts in gets opened up. We get a lot of things in that. We get the Lucas and Brooke stuff, Brooke showing our titties and stuff. That was Nathan talking about depression and stuff, kind of similar with Peyton. But then we get Jimmy, who basically expresses that he hates everyone, that he wish everyone would die, and then he starts getting bullied. The friend group, Lucas, Mouth, they try to bring him back into the fold, but he gets bullied at Trick when they try to bring him out and like make him part of the friends again. So that causes him to even get into an even darker place. So he shows up at the school with a gun, shoots it off. Everybody's in the class. It's one of the better episodes of One Tree Hill as well.
It really is.
You see the different kind of emotions. I think Peyton gets shot in the leg or gets glass in her leg or something like that.
Yeah.
So she's in the library and she's just left with Lucas. You got Haley, Nathan. Well, I think Nathan goes into the school. Nathan goes into the school, and I believe Lucas goes into the school after the first shot has gone off, because they were like, no, Nathan's like, Haley's in there, I'm gonna go in there, even though they had started off the season with kind of Nathan kind of putting up a wall between them. He still loves his wife. We had Lucas going in there for Brooke because he had finally gotten with Brooke at that time, but he found Peyton first. You had Brooke worried in there, so everybody's going through different emotions, and it comes down to Jimmy's in the hallway, and Keith decides to go in. He lets him know. He gets the okay from Dan, who by that point of the season had become mayor of One Tree Hill. Yes, we're at that point where he's mayor of One Tree Hill, so he tells Keith to go ahead, but he has an ulterior motive. He has an ulterior motive, ladies and gentlemen, because Dan believes
he ran against Karen.
Yes,
for mayor too. Yeah, which
ran
was
against
so
Karen.
Weird.
It was very weird, very weird. The
so,
guy that left.
I wonder
her
if Karen knew she was going to have to stay in town if she was the mayor, and she wouldn't be able to go on vacation every 12 minutes.
She was like, "I bow out gracefully."
Yeah, I'm out. Sorry.
Deuces, y'all. I am not dealing with this. You can deal with that. But yeah, you have all of that, and Jimmy is in the hallway. Keith comes in. He's trying to talk him down. He remembers him as Lucas' friend, so he's trying to kind of reason with him. But Jimmy's just so emotional. He realized that he's hurt people, and he takes his own life in that hallway. The gun is on the floor. Keith is distraught. Dan comes in. He picks up the gun, and Dan shoots Keith. But it's all thought to be Jimmy that should Keith. So that becomes basically a catalyst for a lot of different things throughout this season, the rest of the show. So I just wanted to get that out the way first. Now we'll go to the different characters here. So Nathan comes back from High Flyers. He's thinking about this being his senior year. He's focused on basketball. He's not trying not to deal with Haley, but Haley wants to get back with him. She's doing everything in her power, including joining the cheerleading team so she can be closer to Nathan and the basketball team. Meanwhile, Lucas is dealing with this whole heart problem, and if he can even still play basketball, eventually he tells his mom about his heart problem and the pills he has to take, so he leaves the basketball team, and then we'll find out later he eventually comes back. But he has to leave the basketball team for now. Meanwhile, he's dealing with trying to get back on Brooke's good graces and prove himself to Brooke. They have a friends with benefits type relationship at first, but then that completely gets thrown out the window when they have this like auction thing where everybody goes on different dates, and Brooke auctions to buy Chris Keller and eventually sleeps with Chris Keller, and Lucas walks in on her in the bed with Chris Keller. But eventually, Brooke then has to prove herself to Lucas, who is on a basketball court with Rachel, who's introduced in this season. Rachel becomes like the arch nemesis of Brooke. She's trying to get in on the cheerleading team, trying to get with Lucas, trying to do everything in her power to take over the top spot of popular girl at One Tree Hill. Meanwhile, Peyton's dealing with Jake being gone because he went searching for Jenny because the baby mom done stole her and stuff. A whole bunch of drama. Eventually, she finds him. They reunite, but he can't be in One Tree Hill. Eventually, comes to One Tree Hill and stays with her for a while and stuff like that. But eventually, that doesn't work out. Yeah, it's a whole bunch of drama and stuff. Peyton can never be happy. That's the theme of One Tree Hill. It seems these first couple of seasons. Brooke has started a clothing line called Clothes Over Bros. She's living with Haley in the old apartment that Haley and Nathan used to have. This is a good season. I mean, I'm like trying to think of stuff that I didn't like about this season, but yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in this season, a lot of good stories and arcs throughout this season. Like I said, Chris Keller comes back into play, and we realize that we find out that his guitar is named Haley Scott.
He's so ridiculous.
But this was that one episode with him and Nathan with the guitar and all of that. That was the episode where I was like, I love you, Chris Keller. I actually do love you. Like I was like, this was the episode. I was like, no, I actually do like Chris Keller. This is actually weird for me, but yeah, I do. But whole season ends with Nathan and Haley having a formal wedding. So they have the formal wedding. Forgot to mention during the school shooting when Lucas and Peyton were in the library together and Peyton thought she was going to lose all that blood and die, they kissed each other. So yeah, he cheated on Brooke again. So that is what happens at the end of the season. He tells her what happened. They have their whole falling out. At this point, Rachel had started having an affair with Uncle Cooper, who's in town for the wedding, and that's
Uncle
all.
Cooper and more bad decisions.
Uncle Cooper and more bad decisions seems to be a theme here. So yeah, Nathan and Haley get back together, so they're having their wedding. They have the wedding, but Uncle Cooper and Rachel, a drunk Rachel at that, are having a fight in another limo. So they're driving and they're intersecting and they cut each other off, and the limo goes into the water with Cooper and Rachel. uh Nathan sees this and decides he's going to save his uncle's life, and he jumps in the water. And that's how we end the season. One of the better cliffhangers I've ever seen for a season is that ending that way. Because I wasn't watching it week to week at that time, but like I was watching it. This was like when I saw this, I was watching the end of season 4. Season 4 was actively going on. So when I saw that, I was like, I would have been pissed waiting a few months for the what happened here. So I was glad that I was binge watching at that time. But love season 3. I think it's top of the top. What do you think?
I agree. I think that it is probably my favorite season. So, funny story about Uncle Cooper. For the longest time, I thought it was Dane Cook who played Uncle Cooper. They look so much alike. They look so much alike. I thought it was Dane Cook. And I remember I looked the guy up, and the guy who played Uncle Cooper, like right after this season aired with the car wreck, got in a really bad car wreck and was almost paralyzed. Like he almost had the same injury that Christopher Reeve had that like put him in a wheelchair. Like he wrecked a Ferrari, I think, and was almost paralyzed. And I was like, that is like foreshadowing that like he's on this show where everybody and their brother gets in a car wreck, and then he freaking almost dies in a car wreck. Like, I love this show. I love teen dramas so much, but it is so funny how many awful things happen to such a small group of people. Not to mention,
Very
like,
true.
80% of them become famous.
Yes.
So we've got all these famous people who have school shootings and get in car wrecks, and their dealerships burn down, and somebody gets shot, and they had kidnapped, and they like the fucking mob gets involved.
It gets crazier and crazier every season. Like we're gonna get into this because season 4 is when it just it's when the crazy goes up even higher than all that we've been through with
season 4
3
Derek,
seasons with 3 car accidents, a school shooting.
Is Derek season 4?
Yes, we are at season 4 with crazy brother Derek. Forgot to mention with Peyton in season 3, the mother Ellie. Oh, she passed away because everyone leaves. Apparently, people leave. People leave.
They did a really good job with that casting, though, because she really did look like she could be Hillary Burton's mom.
100%. I was like, well done.
Yeah.
But in a letter, I think, that she leaves behind for Peyton, she reveals to her that she has a brother. So that becomes an arc for this season as she starts talking to some guy. We'll just say some guy who some guy, he won't come up, won't be that important, I'm sure. Meanwhile, the basketball team is going down the stretch. Well, they're still everybody is still kind of rebounding from the limo accident at the end. So we finally get what happened with Nathan. He basically says that he passed out when he hit the water, but eventually he saved everyone. He pulled everyone out the car, whether it's Cooper, Rachel. I think doesn't Lucas come and help them out the water too? But everybody's okay. They're dealing with like the aftermath of everything. Of course, Cooper and Rachel have a whole falling out and stuff. We find out that Karen is pregnant from Keith because Keith had asked her for a hand in marriage in season 3 before the school shooting. Former rivals Rachel and Brooke have now moved in and past their differences, and now they're besties. Yeah, they're besties now because Brooke is pissed at Peyton because Peyton kissed Lucas, and now they're best friends. They're hanging out all the time.
And Brooke's parents are not around.
Yeah.
the most concerning of all of this, like Dan getting 2 people pregnant within like 7 days of each other was like, hey, maybe get some condoms from the health department. But Karen getting pregnant again 17 years later, like, learn your lesson. You're an adult now.
Come on, man. You supposed to wrap that up. So Dan extends his help to Karen on the pregnancy since he wasn't there for Lucas. So we start to see a redemption arc for Dan. Meanwhile, Dan is also getting stalked by someone who knows that he killed his own brother, and he's being haunted by the ghost of Keith.
Yes, this was the weirdest thing ever. The ghost of Keith actually having balls, where like regular Keith was too scared to say anything, and ghost of Keith is like, I'm already dead, what are you gonna do? But like the stalking and then who it turns out to be, how is this girl scared to go outside but she's stalking him at the same time?
It's like, really? Like, what? You're stalking someone you saw commit murder.
Of all the people, I ain't stalking that guy.
I'm not.
You just watched him shoot his brother point blank, and you're gonna stalk him?
No, I'm not gonna do that. That wouldn't be me. But yeah. So yeah, we have all that fallout from the wedding and the limo accident. We also learned that that Haley is also pregnant in this season. Brooke is dealing with Lucas, who's trying to get back with her, but she eventually has to tell him, like, yo, it's over. Like, you did this to me again. Like, it's over, bruh. It's over. Move on. Well, Lucas gets closer to Peyton, who's finding out and learning about her brother. And she meets this blonde guy who looks very similar to her and Ellie. And that should be her brother. He says he's his brother and says his name is Derek. And yeah, everything works out fine, right? No, he's the stalker who's been stalking her in our webcam for apparently years. And he eventually... He eventually traps her in her house
so much.
Traps her in her house because basically they thought that it was somebody else, and they thought this black guy was harassing her and stalking her, and he gets arrested, and come to find out that's the real brother. The brother is the brother.
The brother is the brother.
Is the brother, ladies and gentlemen, because Ellie likes chocolate, apparently. So
my issue with all of this, Peyton has the worst adoptive dad in the world.
Yes.
Why are you letting this child just stream everything on the internet? Also, this is the early 2000s. They ain't got no DSL. This is dial-up internet. I want to know how the signal was so good that she could just be streaming her webcam all the time. Because it took me 75 minutes to load a MySpace page in the year of 2006. Like, ain't no way. Like, it stresses me out so bad that her dad just lets her be on there all the time, screaming whatever. Then this guy just shows up and he's like, hello, I'm white and blonde and my name is Derek. I'm very clearly your brother. Like, what?
Very clearly your brother, so you should just allow me into your life, allow me into your house and stuff. So, yeah.
Like, okay, I understand that this was 20 years ago. They had a DNA test.
You know, they had DNA tests back then. I would have got that checked out. But yeah, she gets trapped, and then eventually Lucas and the real brother, Derek, comes and makes the save. The first time we run into Crazy Derek. Yes, the first time we run into Crazy Derek. Meanwhile, while that's going on, the Tree Hill Ravens are doing well. With Lucas out, we eventually get Skills on the basketball team. So Skills actually gets a real role on the show, so we can see him more often and fall in love with how he brings the comedic timing here very well. But then eventually Lucas gets some medicine that he's able to do just 15 minutes a night. Just he's on a time restraint, and he's back on the Ravens team. Nathan is killing it. He's doing well. He's got the love of his life by his side, and he's playing basketball. He's doing great and whatnot, but he's struggling financially with a new wife and a kid on the way. So he starts talking to this bookie played by Rick Fox, which I thought that was just great. Rick Fox, murderer. So eventually the bookie wants him to take a dive on the championship game. Everything he's worked so hard for. He needs to point shave, and he has to lose the game to basically not get his knees broken
I'm
for money
sorry.
that he owes.
Nobody cares about high school basketball.
I know, like
That's
they
what's
made
so
it seem
funny to
so
me.
important. So important.
Nobody cares about, people aren't betting on high school basketball.
Enough
Like,
for you to break a high school basketball player's knees.
exactly. If this was like when he was playing freaking college ball, or when he played whatever the ball, smash
NBA.
ball, or yeah,
Oh
like,
yeah.
or the NBA obviously, but like, okay, I might have bought that. A bunch of 17-year-olds in North Carolina, and you want me to believe this? Like,
Yep.
they just wanted him on that show, and they were like,
Yep.
where can we fit him in? Well, he can't be Peyton's brother because we've already done that. So, like, it's so unbelievable.
It's just like, really? What are we doing? What are we doing? But yeah, got that in there. So eventually though, he chooses to win the championship game after Haley tells him that he's gonna have a son. And they win the championship game, and we have the special moment that's replayed a whole bunch of times for One Tree Hill fans. Of they win the championship game, Nathan and Haley embrace. You get Lucas seeing Brooke, and Brooke basically giving her sign of approval for him to go to Peyton, and they have that moment. It was always you. It was always you. When you all your dreams come true, who do you want next to you? It was always you. And they kiss. And finally, after 4 years of will they, won't they, Lucas and Peyton are together. You think it's all gonna be happy? Nope. Because it's One Tree Hill. People are never happy in One Tree Hill. So they celebrate at Karen's Diner. You even got Dan there. Dan has a moment, a nice father-son moment with Lucas. I was like, yo, this is way too happy. I was waiting for the other shoe to drop at this point. Then you go outside, Haley and Nathan, they're in the street, they think everything's fine. And then Rick Fox pulls up with a car and he runs down and he tries to run down Nathan, and Nathan gets pushed out of the way by Haley because Haley is the man in this situation, protecting her husband, pushing him out the way like you don't have a baby inside of you. And she gets hit by the car with the baby inside her. God damn it. You get Nathan, who goes after the car and like bashes his brains. He crashed into the thing and he died. But Nathan pulls him out the car seat anyway, starts bashing him, even though his wife was on the ground. He could have like checked on his wife. Even though Lucas came and checked on his wife, but he was like, all right, you got my wife. I'm gonna go beat the crap and make this guy die. Got all that going on. He's punching him. The cops finally come. Dan actually does another great father-son thing. He tells Nathan, go, just go. And he punches the ground and acts like he's the one that punched the guy to death so he could get arrested and feel a little bit better about all the sins he really has on his soul. Meanwhile, while Lucas is checking on Haley and the paramedics come, Lucas has a damn heart attack because he hasn't been taking his medication because he didn't take it for the basketball game because he was like, oh, Nathan's about to try to blow this game. I got to not take my medication so me and Skills can win this. So he doesn't take his medication, has a heart attack. In the heart attack, he meets up with Keith, who tells him, "Oh, do you really believe that it was Jimmy that killed me? Do you open your eyes? Open your I'm sorry. I just remember the little lines from these episodes so vividly. Open your eyes, Lucas. So this starts Lucas' journey to find out that eventually he finds the girl that's been stalking Dan, this little miniature girl that was in that same school shooting episode. And she tells him, it was your father. So Lucas has a coming to Jesus moment, pulls a gat out on out on Dan, and makes Karen faint because Karen has been falling for Dan this whole time because Dan has been showing a softer, gentle side of him. Eventually, Dan confesses all his sins. He gets arrested, so he's in jail by the end of season 4. We get Nathan admitting to Haley that he did the whole betting thing. He also has to admit it to Whitey, and he eventually admits it to everyone, which messes up his college hopes as we end the season. But Whitey eventually takes a job at like a D3 DC school so Nathan could play college basketball, where also Lucas is going to be the assistant coach. They graduate. They have one last big party. Brooke this season had kind of been off on the side doing her own thing. Clothes Over Bros blows up. They had like she was split between Clothes Over Bros and cheerleading, but eventually Clothes Over Bros kind of blows up. She gets in a relationship with Chase, who was also in that school shooting episode. That school shooting episode introduced a lot of characters to us, I will say. But yeah, she gets with him. They have their whole thing because he's in that abstinence club. And Mouth has sex with the leader of the abstinence club, the girl in the abstinence club. Whole big thing. This whole big drama. Mouth's got a crush on Rachel now. They have a whole episode where they go to like this other state because Mouth and Rachel had traveled there and ran off and stuff.
That episode was so weird.
Everything's very weird in One Tree Hill. But our whole season ends with a one-on-one between Lucas and Nathan back at the River Court, and they all spray paint the River Court, leaving their mark as we end the college years of One Tree Hill. Season 4, definitely up there for me as well.
Season 4, when you watch it back, is kind of where you're like, it should have ended here.
Yes. Every time I watched that season finale, I was like, could I end it here?
The only redeeming thing after is Jamie Scott.
Yes.
Because Jamie Scott is
Q.
great. And yes. And Q. But Q, we didn't get Q for very long. But
and like, Julian.
That's true. Once we do get Julian kind of sucks a little bit for a little bit of the time.
They gave him the Nathan Scott approach. Where you introduce him as a jerk and a jealous person, and then you give him the character redemption arc.
Yes.
Which I would say, out of a lot of teen dramas, I think One Tree Hill nails the redemption arc very, very well.
Yes.
Every single time.
I agree. Season 4 is so good. So much happens. But they are so stupid.
I love season 4 because, I didn't even mention Psycho Derek comes back on the prom episode.
In the basement. In the basement.
This is at the point where Peyton and Brooke had been kind of getting closer together, especially after winning the championship. Everything's seeming well. Then they have a party at Dan's place. And they have a video. They think it's highlights of Nathan in freshman year, but it's actually a sex tape of Nathan when he slept with Brooke when Nathan was still with Peyton. So Peyton punches him in the face. Punches Brooke in the face. They have this whole drama, have a whole falling out again over something that happened like 3-4 years ago. You're not even with them anymore.
That was my thing. Why are you mad? You're not even with him. We
should have been like, we're even now. Like, what?
Yeah. How are you gonna be mad when you slept with her boyfriend too, like multiple
times? I would never get this. I would never get the logic of Peyton Scott.
Do not get it. But I think that that's a Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I agree with you. Hall of Famer, 100%. Season 4, one of the better seasons, and I will tell you, ladies and gentlemen. The next couple of seasons are going to go a lot faster because I'm not going to go in depth with any of the rest. I'm not going in depth with any of the rest of these seasons because I don't love and I don't remember as much. For some of these seasons, I've only watched it one time.
Yeah.
I've only watched it fairly recently, just last year. But season 5, I was still on board. This is where we do a time jump for the first time.
I will say season 5, the introduction into, first off, Haley is the only one who actually looks like she's like aged. Like she's the haircut and everything. She's full mom mode. The introduction into us seeing Nathan in the wheelchair was done so well.
Yes.
Like the way, because I was not expecting that. Like, he's the one that you're like, okay, he's going to be fine. And they introduced that. It was so good. They did that so well for this season.
Yes, and that starts like a whole another redemption arc for Nathan. Like he regressed because basically on the day before he was supposed to be drafted, he gets into a fight at a bar and he gets thrown through a window and he gets glass in his back, which causes him to be in a wheelchair. He eventually works himself out of that. It's a couple of things that kind of give him inspiration. One being Nanny Carey. because that seems to be forgotten that Nanny Carey was part of the inspiration for getting him out of his funk. Because she comes and she's here to take care of Jamie. We get introduced to Jamie Lucas Scott, James Lucas Scott, as he's called, one of the better characters, the son of Nathan and Haley. She has the baby at the end of season 4, right? The end of season
Yeah.
4. Yeah. So yeah, he's like 4 or 5 years old by this point. We see his dynamic with pretty much everyone, where he's like the cool kid to everyone. Skills and him have a great relationship. Him and Lucas have a great uncle nephew relationship. Peyton is away in California with a record label, but she eventually decides to to move back to One Tree Hill with Brooke, who has been in New York with Clothes Over Bros. She's highly successful. She's now a successful fashion line. So she decides she's going to opens up a store in One Tree Hill, which used to be Karen's old cafe. You have Nathan. He goes on his whole redemption arc, and he finally gets himself out of the wheelchair, thanks in part to kind of motivation and getting screamed at by Haley, and motivation of their son, almost drowning at one point. I think that was
Yes.
this season as well. But yeah, you get Nanny Carey into play, and Nanny Carey is crazy, just like most of them. So she tries to seduce Nathan, which Haley finds out about, and walks in on them
And
as she
let's
tries to catch
see.
him in the shower.
Karen had the baby that was with
Lily.
Lily. Yeah, she had Lily that was Keith's,
And
but
now she's back with Andy, who she was with in
yes.
season 2, which
And
I totally just glossed over because it wasn't that important in
yeah,
season 2.
on
But
one
now
of
it's
her
important because it's
vacations,
there.
on one of her vacations, she had Andy. And now she's with Andy and they're raising Lily together.
Yeah.
And she's
Yeah.
moved, hasn't she?
Yes, because she never wants to be in One Tree Hill. She wants to get the hell out of One Tree
I
Hill
mean, she
always.
probably could have freaking done that before, but
Lucas is the head coach for the Ravens basketball team, which sucks now and only has one good player, which is Q, who's also a student in Haley's class, who's now a teacher at One Tree Hill. Q is basically season 1, episodes 1 through 4. Nathan again. Here we go again. We got another story about the cocky basketball player, and this basically gets him out of school, and he's like he basically harasses Haley. The thing he said to her was wild. I was like, yeah, that would get you kicked out of class too.
yeah.
And he eventually is kicked off the basketball team, but it takes Nathan to kind of be a mentor to him, which turns things around for him. And the Tree Hill Ravens get better because of that, a little bit. They don't win anything or nothing like that. Well, Lucas is now dating his editor for his first book, which was Ravens, or something about Ravens, which was all about his triangle with Peyton and Brooke. Basically, that's all I got from it. I know he mentioned other people, but all I got from it is he really talks about his love triangle with Peyton and Brooke, because
Yeah,
that's who everybody talks about from the book.
I'm not really sure why he became an author, but
I don't know either. I don't know. We get away. He gets eventually married. He tries to get married to Lindsay, but now Peyton's back into play, and we find out that they had a falling out when Peyton moved to Los Angeles, and Lucas asked her for hand in marriage, and she turned him down. So he basically then found that editor, called him up about his book, and he eventually falls in love with her. But Peyton's a
okay.
bitch and is a total bitch to Lindsay, and Lindsay's a bitch to
That's what I was
Peyton.
just getting ready to say. How you going to turn this man down, then be hateful to the woman that he's with, who he loves and he's treating well, and she's treating him well, just because you regret what you did? That's not her
Yep.
fault. That was when they got locked in the damn library,
Yeah,
and she was
and
being
Tim
so
shows
awful
up.
to her. Yeah, like she's so hateful for no reason, and I'm like, this is why you're the only one that's not successful. This is what your issue is. Like,
This is what happens to people like you. This is what
yeah.
happens. But yeah, the whole season basically ends with I think Lucas. We have a whole dramatic thing where he's at the airport and he calls somebody to meet him at the airport, and and everyone gets a call. Lindsay gets a call. He's been getting closer and formed a genuine friendship with Brooke again. And he has this will they, won't they again with Peyton. So we don't know who shows up at the airport to end the season. Drama. And Nathan starting his comeback to playing basketball. Made this very abbreviated because season 5, I mean, the most I will give it is it's good. It has parts. It has its moments. Brooke and Lucas, Brooke and Jamie are always cute together. That stuff is good. Brooke and we finally meet Brooke's mother, Victoria. Awful, awful, awful person. And
I would put it in not bad, not good. Because like it had some things that I was like, oh, okay. But it was not, I mean, really, it was like almost like they were trying to reintroduce us to everybody again.
Yeah.
Like we had to, okay, well, they have all of this going on now. And this person has all of this going on now. And this person has all of this going on now. And like, is it the next season when Brooke gets the foster daughter, when she gets Sam?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I believe so. Yeah. Yeah. Because Julian's a part of that story. And Julian comes in like season 6.
22, and they're giving her this teenage foster daughter that I'm like, well, that would have never got approved anywhere, no. But okay. Like,
in what world do these people live in?
A very strange one, clearly.
Clearly. I agree with you. I would put it in not bad, not good. Yeah. I said the most I would give it is it's some parts of it is good. But I thought much better was season 6. Season 6, so much drama happens. I forgot in season 5 because I wanted to mention it here at the start of season 6. Brooke at her new store gets attacked. So we don't know they had already established the kind of like rivalry over the company between her and her mother. So they kind of like teased that it was her mother who was behind it and stuff. But we find out the person who did it at the start of season 6 because we see their face for the first time. Because when they attacked Brooke in the store, they had a mask on. And when we start season 6, they don't have a mask on when they basically rob a convenience store and shoot the teller. And Q walks in. It's a calm episode. Everything's so good. Q gave Jamie a cape. He's working out with Nathan. Nathan looks like his comeback road is gonna go well. And then we end the episode with Q showing up at that convenience store, seeing the teller on the floor, turning his back, and this guy shooting him in the back. And this guy, kills Q. That's like one of the saddest moments of this whole entire show. Is a character that started off so awful the season before this, but we start off the season and I could not be sadder when he got shot. I was like, we had a whole redemption arc for what?
100%. And it's so confusing too, because like, okay, you're just trying to rob a gas station. You ain't even getting that much. And now you're committing murder. Like, that's a jump there. Like, that is a jump. I mean, yeah. I don't know. It was very sad. And we go into the funeral and, Jamie meeting Q's little brother and everything. And like that part is just heartbreaking. It's so sad that there are like a few spots during the show that I always cry. And it's like when Keith dies and when Jimmy kills himself and that. Like those are the spots that get me every time.
Yeah, that's one of the saddest moments of the whole entire show. There was happy moments in this season, like Lucas and Peyton, they finally get married in this season. They have their first child. This is a relatively calm Lucas and Peyton season. Compared to the other seasons, it's a relatively calm, other than, Peyton does have issues with her pregnancy.
Yeah.
We don't know if she can bring the baby to term. Yeah, it's just like we can't ever have her be happy. That's the theme.
Will say my biggest irritation with this damn show is that everybody has to name their kid their maiden name.
And after their friends.
Yeah. Haley James. So hers is James Lucas Scott. And then Peyton names her kid Sawyer Scott. And then when Brooke has her kid, she names one of them Davis. And I'm like, stop it.
Can we be more creative, please?
There are
Please.
other names out there.
I beg of you. I beg of you. But yeah, Brooke goes through a big season in this one because Julian comes into play. And Julian is introduced as Peyton's ex, who is a movie producer and wants to make the Ravens book into a movie. And we think that he's here to kind of break up the whole Lucas and Peyton thing. And for the first couple of episodes, they do tease that. But eventually, when they're at a concert together, we learn that Julian's favorite character in the book was Brooke, and that he developed a crush from there. And we get the slow burn of their relationship, which I thought was one of the one of the best relationships in this whole entire season, or series. Nathan and Haley, they're relatively good in this season. To go back to Nanny Carey in season 5, she tries to kidnap Jamie during Lucas and Lindsay's wedding. Skills should have been watching the kid, should have had the leash earlier. So it's Dan, who's now out of prison, who makes the save, who saves Jamie from the nanny and brings him back to the house, and he gets assaulted by his own children. That starts his whole relationship with Jamie, and they're getting closer. And eventually, well, Dan comes out and he's looking for a new heart. He's got a beeper for a new heart, and when the thing beeps and it seems like he's gonna get a new heart, this is all in the same first episode. He gets ran over by a car and kidnapped by Nanny Carey. And Nanny Carey keeps him in like this faraway house until eventually one of the best episodes of this whole series is when Deb, Haley, and Jamie go to save Dan from crazy Nanny Carey. It's one of the best episodes. It's like a horror movie.
Yes, that's what I was just gonna say. When they're running through all that, and it's like they're running through a freaking corn maze, like trying to get, and Dan thinking he's in the freaking hospital when he's just in this house with the sheets. So funny. But it's truly one of the best episodes. Yeah.
So you got that whole thing. I just wanted to bring that up. Now I'm just gonna sum up season 6. So Ian and Lucas have a baby, get married, they leave. This is the end of them on the show. Nathan actually gets a call. He's been in basically like the D League, and he gets a call from the Charlotte Bobcats to go to the NBA. Haley has rediscovered music and opened up a music label with Peyton. You got Brooke. She's successful with Clothes Over Bros. She's found love with Julian. She even had a foster child for a while, so she wants to have a child now, but she's finally fallen in love, and now she's together with Julian. Everything literally ends like you could have ended it here too. Season 6, I think, is the last great season. I wouldn't say top of the top, but it's the last great season.
I agree. And I do want to, because we didn't touch on this, the randomness in season 3 or 4 when Pete Wentz was randomly with Peyton. He was like 30. Like,
with a 16-year-old.
And he's going on their, first off, why are all these people going on this vacation together? They're all teenagers. And Pete went, is he their chaperone? Like,
is he here to do music, or like what are we doing here?
I love that episode, but it's so funny because they all think that Peyton is Delulu and that he's not really, and then he just shows up. Like, it's so random. It's so stupid, but
so great. So funny.
So great.
But yeah, I think season 6, that's one of the better ones. I wouldn't put it on the same tier as 1, 3, and 4, but like they could have ended it at season 6 too.
I agree.
Now we go to I'm literally going to spend a minute on all of these last 3 seasons because
the chase seasons, I check out mentally.
I'm totally drawing a blank with a lot of this season 7 and season 8 and season 9. I literally can describe by like 1 or 2 sentences. And season 7, I'd be like, oh, this is a season where they tried to ruin Haley and Nathan again. Nelly again.
Chase is so stupid. Not Chase. What's his name? Next to Julian.
Clay, his agent. That's Clay. Nathan's agent.
See, I couldn't even remember his name. Clay is so stupid. He makes me so mad. How you forget you got a whole kid? Like, how do
we
you
find out about that this season, or do they wait a season?
I think it's not.
Yeah.
I don't think it's till the next season. But he's so stupid. He makes me so mad. And
we're introduced to a third James sister in what's her name?
Yeah,
Quinn.
Quinn is irritating. Like, she just exists. She's just there. And I cannot stand Clay. He does not add anything. They thought he was going to be Lucas. Okay, Lucas was annoying, but like at least he had story that made sense. Like, this story is so stupid.
I think they thought he was going to be like Mouth. I thought Julian was filling in the Lucas role, and then they thought Clay was going to be Mouth. Because how is Mouth not even on this freaking cover?
Yeah.
Like, Mouth is in this season. Mouth's in all these seasons, but he didn't even make the cover for this season. But yeah, they introduced new characters because Lucas and Peyton are out of there with Clay and Quinn. They try to ruin Nelly. They try to ruin Julian and Brooke because Julian finds a friend that's an actress who has a drug problem and stuff. It's a
Sure is.
I'm gonna go with trash. I'm sorry. I hate this season. I don't know if you disagree, if you think it's a little bit higher, but I just hate this season.
It's so bad. It's once again trying to introduce us to a bunch of people, and we get those two, and then we get what's the actress's name?
Alex.
Yes, Alex, who has no redeemable qualities yet.
Chase become a bigger character.
Yes, and it's not enjoyable at all.
So I got about 5-6 minutes to finish up this. So this will be easy because season 8, I don't care about either. I don't care about any of these later seasons. Only redeemable thing about season 8, Brooke and Julian get married.
Yeah.
That's about it. Folks. That's all I got to say about the season. I don't know if you have anything else you want to mention. I think season 8 is also the season where Haley's mom passed away.
Yeah, I would say that this one is not bad, not good, because it showed more depth to Haley's character and everything, and her becoming depressed after her mom passes away, but it's not a good season.
Yes. Yeah, not good, not bad. Yeah, I think that's the best we could do for season 8. And then finally,
trash.
Season 9.
Trash.
This is the season where I can literally give you one sentence. Nathan gets kidnapped. That's what this season is.
This season is literally that James Lafferty only signed on to do like 4 episodes. So they kidnapped him instead of just saying he's gone working.
Why did they keep going? Season 7, 8, and 9. Why did they keep going? Like, oh my God. I've never seen like this type of like, I've never seen this with any show that has this range of seasons. But yeah, this season, James Lafferty did not sign on for the full season. So we get a couple of him being kidnapped. And eventually Dan saves him to complete the, what was it? 5-season redemption arc of Dan Scott, where he died for his son. And we get a beautiful scene. The only scene where redeemable in this whole season is Keith seeing Dan after he dies and welcome him into heaven. Because it's like, Keith would be the one who would forgive his brother after doing that.
I mean, it was just terrible.
That was nice. But yeah. A lot of the season is Dan hiring and basically getting different partners to find Nathan. Whether it's Julian, Chris Keller was a partner. He was great. Chris Keller and his friendship with Chase were one of the better parts of the latter seasons.
Yeah, but I mean, it was just bad. And then Chase like deciding to join the Air Force when he's like 25 was very weird.
Very weird. Very weird. And Chase being a sex icon, apparently, with Alex and the other girl who became famous in season 5, the singer girl.
Yeah.
Who actually became famous because of One Tree Hill. So
Kate Vogel. Yeah.
Yeah, Kate Vogel.
Very strange.
Yeah. Clay gets married to Quinn, apparently, or gets engaged with Quinn, something like that. And he has his kid now, apparently. He realized, oh, I remember, I have a kid. That thing. Brooke has twins or triplets or something like that. I don't know.
I got
Yeah,
somebody at my door.
no worries. It was not the most riveting end to the One Tree Hill saga, but they did it. They did it. They finished it up. Season 9, trash. But I will wait for Kate to wind things down here. She'll be back in 2 seconds. So yes, see, I told you, 2 seconds. We're gonna give them our rankings here if we gotta change anything over. But we got in Ravens Hall of Fame share, we got season 1, season 3, and season 4. How would you rank these 3?
I honestly think season 4 might be my favorite season out of all of them, but really those 3 they're the best seasons of the show, 100%. Like, just easily the best seasons. Like we said earlier, you could have ended it easily with season 4. I understood that they didn't want to end it with them being in high school, but it should have been season 6 if it wasn't 4.
If you didn't want to end in high school, season 6, you had another chance. But
they just kept going. Yeah, so yeah, I think that our rankings are perfect, honestly.
Yeah, I kind of want to put season 3 or season 4 at the top. So
I would say 4.
4. I would say that would be the rankings. 4, 3, 1.
Yes.
Then 6, then 2. Then you got 5 and 7. This is fair to have him like that. And then what's the worst of the worst? What should be top of trash?
The 9? Last season. Yes. It's so bad. Just such a bad season.
So bad. We will post this on social media when Joel and Jeremy decide to put this video up. We will post the full tier list so you can see it, how we ranked the One Tree Hill seasons. But this was a lot of fun, and I'm glad you feel the same way about those last 3 seasons that I do.
When I do my rewatch, I'm just gonna stop watching at the end of season 6. Like, great, the show's over.
Just go like, how much better was that if I just stopped watching after 6? Like, nothing happened after. Nothing happened.
Truly, I mean, much better.
Cher or Kate, because I called you Kate twice in this video. Cher, Cher. Let the people know where they can follow you on social media.
You can follow me on Twitter at Cher Delaware. That's pretty much it. Anything that I do, I'm posting there. So
very nice. And you can follow me on the Twitter machine at TrueHeelSP3, and you can see me and Cher every Tuesday morning on FMC talking everything not wrestling. I love this channel for not wrestling.
Yeah.
For Cher Delaware, it is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3, aka Jerome YouTube, because this has been our One Tree Hill season tier rankings. We are signing off until another reason for us to talk about One Tree Hill.